The only rules in life are the rules that you impose on yourself. A long time ago, about 20 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, I met a friend of mine in Japan. And this guy was absolutely, without question, the most charismatic guy I'd ever met in my entire life. He wasn't a Chad, not by any means. He was tall, but that was pretty much the only traditional thing that he had going for him that people think of when they think of attraction. He was tall, but he was bald. He wore glasses. He was kind of skinny. And he would wear suits that were always too big. He kind of looked like a department store mannequin. But just walking down the street with him, I could see all these ladies looking up at him like he was some kind of a god. And we would walk through department stores, and he would talk to the ladies working behind the cologne counter and the jewelry counter, and they would just, "Sir, can I help you?" And the way he picked up girls was kind of amazing, but it was a very fantastic strategy. He was always dating a couple of girls at once, and he lived in with his girlfriend. But he was a magician. He did magic tricks. He was really good at doing magic tricks. So he would just walk into a club or a bar or anywhere where there was a crowd and say, "Hey, you want to see some magic tricks?" And he would start doing tricks. And while he was doing the tricks, he would make eye contact with everybody, and he would tell these stories while he was doing tricks. And while he was doing tricks and telling stories, he would check the people watching him and find the girl that was the most interested in him, the one that was giving him the most IOIs. And after he was done, he would talk to her, get the number, and they would go on a date. And he had this really, really fascinating job. He worked for this guy, another foreigner living in Japan, that had come up with this algorithm based on inefficient market theory on how to consistently make money at the racetrack. If you went there on any particular day with $5,000, you'd come home with $7,000. If you went there with $10,000, you'd come back with $13,000 or $14,000. And that's what he did. And he had this amazing life. He was making money working just a few hours a week. He was talking to all these gorgeous girls, dating all these gorgeous girls, living with a very gorgeous girlfriend, a very intelligent girlfriend. And I said, "Dude, I got a couple questions for you. First of all, how do you do this? How are you like this?" And he said, "Well, a long time ago, I was like a normal person, but I discovered NLP. And back then when I met the guy, I had no idea what that was." And he explained that NLP is essentially reverse engineered from the best therapists of all time. How they talk to patients, how they think about talking to patients, how they think about themselves while they're talking to patients. And he said, "I learned to apply NLP in my own life, and that made me much more confident. That allowed me to get rid of all my anxiety. That allowed me to talk to people in playful, hypnotic ways. And so I recommend that you study NLP." And so he gave me a couple of references, and I went back home and I looked up some books, and that's how I started to learn NLP. But my second question, I asked him, I said, "So how do you manage living with your girlfriend, who I'd met at the time, was a very normal, attractive, intelligent woman, and date all these women and not get in trouble?" And he said, "It's all about the sorting. It's how I sort girls, including my girlfriend. Every girl that I date, the first date is always at a coffee shop, always during the day, always during the week. And I tell her a story about a friend of mine. And my friend has made a decision to never be monogamous. And he's always upfront with that. He tells that to the girls that he dates. He says, "Look, I like you, I want to spend time with you, but I will never be monogamous with anybody. If you want to keep seeing each other, that's cool. If you don't want to see me again, that's cool too. I totally respect you." And he has a happy life. And the girls that date him enjoy dating him. And how they respond to this story tells him everything about how they would feel about that kind of situation. Some girls, when he tells this story to, they kind of close off. Their body language closes off. They become kind of, I wouldn't like that. And he doesn't date those girls ever again, no matter how much they're interested in him. But some girls are okay with that. They say things like, "Well, I mean, if everyone's happy and nobody's getting cheated on, I guess that's okay." And these are the girls that he dates. They have this kind of subconscious acceptance that dating someone who's never going to be monogamous is okay. And that's how he qualifies the girls that he gets while doing his magic tricks. But one girl, he said, had a fascinating story. And she said, "I used to be like this girl. that would never go for that. But now I've decided to open up my horizon, so to speak, because of a significant event in my life, something that I've discovered about myself and about life. And she told him the story, he told me the story. And apparently she was going through school. She had just finished undergraduate school, and she wanted to be a clinical psychologist. And so she got her undergraduate degree, and she was going through internships and applying to grad schools. And when she was going through internships, she discovered that real life is a lot different than what they teach in the textbooks. And if you're a psychologist, a clinical psychologist, it can be very, very depressing, because a lot of clients, a lot of customers, a lot of patients, they don't really ever fix themselves. They don't ever really get better. And a lot of them have problems, and those problems kind of sometimes rub off on the therapist. And so there's a high rate of suicide in that kind of field, higher than other fields. And so she was starting to question whether or not this is what she wanted to do. And so she decided to take a gap year and get a job and just think about what she wanted to do. And she got a job at this high-end restaurant, a high-end restaurant that attracts high-end customers. And it's the kind of restaurant where companies bring their clients to and try to make a good impression and create a relationship and hopefully earn their business. And so the owner of the restaurant encouraged the employees, the waitstaff, to make relationships, to build relationships with their clientele. And so she started working there, and while she was waiting tables, she just started talking to the customers, talking to the clients of the customers, and she started to use all of these psychological techniques she learned in school, including some hypnotic techniques, because a lot of psychologists use hypnosis, and she had learned a lot of hypnotic techniques and language patterns from some of the people under which she did an internship. And she found out that this was way more interesting than trying to help somebody get better, trying to help a depressed person get better, trying to help somebody that was addicted to drugs get better. Because she was hypnotizing people to not to fix themselves, but to feel really good. She was hypnotizing people to find resources within themselves. And she started to talk to customers on two different levels. The content level of the conversation, where everybody thought this is what they were talking about, and a hypnotic level where she was talking to their subconscious. And she started to quickly realize who the client was and who the customer was, and try to hook up relationships between the clients and the customers. And she started to drop in all kinds of post-hypnotic suggestions during these lower level conversations, like feel happy, or become more outgoing, or become more extroverted, or make relationships, build relationships. And she started to make a lot of money. Once she started to apply her psychological skills and her hypnotic skills to these people, and she started to calibrate how to do that, she started to really enjoy her job, and she was making like double the tips that everybody else was making. And she realized that I can do this. I can still apply my psychological knowledge and information, but not stuck within a psychological setting where I see mostly people who are not in a good way. I can use this on regular people in the world, and that completely opened up how she thought about her life, how she thought about how to make money, how she thought about how to help people, how she thought about how to date and have relationships with people. And she was working as a marketing director when she told him this story, a marketing director for a jewelry store where they train their employees how to talk to the customers. And she said, once I realized you can release the constraints that you put on yourself, and you learn how to talk to people, and you learn how to see opportunities, the world is a fantastic place. The world is an unlimited place where you can make a lot of money. The world is an unlimited place where you can make a lot of friends, where you can have a lot of fun. And he said that she made him look at the world even more outgoingly than he did before, with more curiosity than he did before, with more open-ended excitement than he did before, with more open-ended wonder than he did before. And he said, this is the truth about NLP. If you study NLP like I did 20 years ago, you will learn that there are no rules. You can think in different ways. You can speak in different ways. You can interact with people in different ways. And the truth of it is there are no rules in life except the rules that you impose on yourself. If you're interested in learning more, check out the links below. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.